Hello everybody and welcome to Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops. I'm Pythonicus and this is a new game Tsuchinoko rank speedrun. Now what does that mean? Well, Tsuchinoko is the highest rank you can obtain in Portable Ops without having to recruit 100 soldiers on top of all of the other requirements. So basically this will be the equivalent of a Foxhound or a big boss rank. And the only reason we can't obtain those ranks is because, of course, again, it requires 100 recruited soldiers, and that's really slow. So we're just gonna not do that. So at the beginning of the run, we've got a cutscene here that I'm skipping through, and immediately we're going to try the door. Now there is a tiny minor skip that we can attempt that regarding the door. And basically, the way it's done is that you kind of angle yourself toward the door frame, and for some reason, if you get it correctly on just the right angle, you can actually skip trying the door once, and it saves probably about a second and a half. So, not exactly a run-killing trick if you don't get it. But after the door, you just crawl through the vent, grab the Mark 22, and we're on our way to escaping the prison.
Well, I'll be damned.
So it's worth noting that Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops, or MPO from here on out, is a PSP game. And it was released shortly after MGS 3. And as such, it kind of uses a stripped-down version of the MGS 3 engine. So we're going to make use of that with as many of the tricks as we can. And the first trick we're going to make use of is something we call the bump roll. And it's kind of self-explanatory. We're going to see it right here. You bump, and you roll. That's going to be our main way of dealing with a lot of the enemies in our way. But it's not going to be our only way. But after that first soldier, we are pretty much free and clear to just head to the mission square and get out of the prison. Now, normally this game is separated out into a mission-based structure. This first mission is a bit different in that it's going to be 2 maps in the same mission. All of the other ones in the run will all be single map affairs. But this is the comms base. We'll be visiting this another time shortly after we get out of here. But our main objective is to make our way into the building and to call up paramedic. Or rather, call up someone who knows what's going on, because we were just kind of stuck in the prison. We don't really know what's going on, so we gotta figure it out. And, paramedic ends up answering. So we're gonna talk with paramedic, we're gonna talk with SIG, and they're gonna tell us a whole bunch of stuff. Basically, the Fox unit has gone rogue, and, as usual, it's up to us to stop them. But that's the first mission done. There are, I believe, 28 missions in total that we'll be doing in this game. So it's a fairly short game. Of course, PSP game, couldn't really expect too much on the UMDs that they distributed the games on. So we're going to go ahead and head straight to the second mission in the Soviet patrol base, and here we're supposed to be going and getting some intelligence on what exactly the Fox unit are trying to do here. So this mission is the first we're actually going to be using the Mark 22, which we picked up back in the prison, along with our sneaking suit here. So we're just going to go ahead and auto-aim at an enemy ahead and take a couple of shots, knock him out, and continue on our way. There's going to be one more soldier inside the building, but he's easy enough to deal with. Just another little bump roll into the item there. So, I did mention, of course, that this is on a PSP, and one of the main differences that this game has is a very limited inventory selection. Each character only has 4 slots in their inventory, and we've got to very carefully manage that throughout the run, and bring exactly what we need at every given time. But disregarding that, we're now moving into the supply depot, and we have to recruit our first soldier. Now, the recruitment mechanic here is It's a lot more prototypical than, say, in Peace Walker or MGS 5. But this is where it started in the series. This is the very first game that actually introduced that sort of thing. And this first guy, we're actually going to grab blindly around this corner. Just hug the wall, grab him, and slam him. And that's our first fella. And we got to grab that TNT for later in the run. Very, very important. But as I said, this is a very prototypical version of the recruitment. And in such, there's no Fulton device to just kind of instantly recruit people. Instead, we have to go and drag these fools out to a truck. And this is why we don't go for the true rank 1 in this game, because this takes a very long time, as you can see. In a couple missions, they will introduce to us another method for recruiting soldiers, but it's still not going to be extremely quick. But anyway, we've got our first soldier, and this guy will come to our side pretty much immediately. Whereas the rest of the soldiers you recruit during the game, it will take a random amount of time, basically. But this fella here, his name is Jonathan. I'll be calling him Johnny, although there's no relation between him and any of the other ones in the series. And we're gonna head up to the comm base again because we need to go talk to paramedic, and because it seems that Mr. Roy Campbell, our mission support for this game, he's kind of come down with a case of malaria, and we've got to fix that lickety split. So this mission will introduce us to another mechanic. You see the blue chameleon icon up in the top left. That means that we are disguised against soldiers in the map. And the way the disguises in MPO work is it's basically kind of like Hitman in a way, in that you are disguised against people who are your same disguise. Anyone else can see straight through your disguise, like any random scientists or nurses or this, that, or the other. So we do have to be a little bit careful. But in that map, it's all the same kind of soldiers, so it's no big deal. Just get to the exit and go. Move on with your life. And next up comes the hospital. And this is where we're going to be recruiting a second soldier for use later in the run. Now, our 2 recruits that we'll be picking up, we aren't going to be using them specifically for sneaking unit purposes. And instead, we're actually going to be using them for something called the spy unit. And the spy unit is going to be pretty much supplying us with certain objectives throughout the run that the story, it doesn't immediately make obvious where we need to go, and it's required that you get spy reports to go find these things. So that's going to be the purpose of these 2 fellas. And it's worth noting that the spy reports, they are incredibly random, and they will, a lot of the time, not work how you want them to. Like, we really want them in the first couple of attempts at getting them. And if it doesn't happen, then we've got to struggle a little bit. So RNG does lose us quite a bit of time. And that was our second method of recruiting soldiers. Basically, it's put them next to a box, call a codec frequency, and then the soldier in the box will take care of actually dragging them off to the truck. And the reason that one is slow is because, well, for one, you have to have a soldier out in the field to actually receive the soldiers. And secondly, we've still got to drag whichever soldiers we want to that box. The benefit is that you can stack up several unconscious soldiers or characters, and that will actually drag all of them in one go. So that's kind of a nice little trade-off. So here we're going to head to the research lab, and we're still looking for some malaria drugs to help our boy Roy Campbell out. Because the hospital didn't have any, so we followed a shipping route to this research lab. And, well, hopefully we'll find some here, because there's only so many places in a place like this that'll have some malaria drugs. So again, we are disguised against soldiers, which means not only can they not see us, but they also can't hear us as long as we've got that chameleon icon, so we can just slip past that guy and roll up the ramps. And rolling up the ramps is actually a little bit quicker than walking up them. We're going to be a little bit later grabbing an item that will make this a lot faster than either of those two options. But until then, rolling is good enough. So this cutscene we're skipping now is going to be our first introduction to the main villain of the game, Gene. And we're really just not going to hear that name for the rest of the game. Because, yeah, Gene only really appears in the cutscenes, and, well, we ain't got time for those cutscenes, man. We're speedrunning. So from here, we're just going to jump off this little ledge and make our way inside the main building, and then right there's our objective. Easy peasy. So that cutscene introduces us to another antagonist of the game, Null. We're not going to really hear about Null either until about halfway through the run. But anyway, in any case, we have our malaria drugs. Roy's feeling a little better. But now, we don't know what to do next, so we got to send our spy off to figure it out. So there's a map in the supply depot, and this map will lead us to a rail bridge to lead us to a harbor, which we were told to go investigate. So we're going to go ahead and grab this map to get that process all kicked off. So thankfully, on our second trip into the supply depot, there is no longer a soldier around that corner, so we don't have to worry about blindly grabbing another guy. It's just going to be a straight shot through the building and further on into the map. So this soldier, he's going to get the same treatment as so many others. Nice little bump roll. On top of those crates, there's a pack of 3 med kits. We're not going to pick those up, but in case we were looking for extra safety, they are there.
The enemy is close by.
So we grab the secret document, and we get on out of here.
HQ.
This is HQ.
So again, now that we've got that map, now we have the location of the rail bridge. And there is actually our second recruit coming to our side, which is great. Perfect timing, really, because we're going to need him very, very shortly. So the rail bridge is a very small map. It's, I'm not kidding when I say it's tiny. But we're going to be visiting it 3 times during the run. This first time, all we got to do is come over to this mission square, and really, that's about it. But there's trucks in our way, and we don't have a way past these things safely, so we have to go and figure out something else. And here's where the spies are going to come in, mainly. So, we have 4 targets of opportunity around the San Jeronimo Peninsula, and in order to get past these trucks, we're going to have to take out 3 of them. So, for each of the diversionary operations here, we're going to have spy reports to figure it out, and this is where the spies can lose us a lot of time, if they so choose. Now, this first one came by pretty quickly, which is great, and we're headed to the supply depot one last time. Because there's a truck here, we're going to have to blow it up, and that'll divert some attention off of that rail bridge so that we can start that whole process. So the method to avoiding this alert, really simple, just hug the left wall, and then cut on back in towards that truck, and then boom!
What was that?
Normally that guard doesn't even care, but in this case, I was a little late planting and exploding the truck. So, but it's fine. As long as you have finished the mission objective, guards will no longer be able to see you, you won't be able to take damage, so you can literally just stand next to the truck and blow yourself up if you so choose. So basically, Snake is invincible. You know, no problem. So we got our second spy report. We're going to send both of those guys to the next location, which is going to be the research lab, while we head to the Soviet patrol base, Which, here, there is an armory that we're going to have to blow up because, well, I mean, less weaponry in the enemy's hands. That sounds pretty good, right? And it'll also send some fools from the rail bridge coming to look. Double win. So here we're going to actually drop down into the pit very, very slowly in order to set up some cycles. Now, we want to kind of pace ourselves so that that guard who was walking just kind of walks on by. That way we can grab this guy, slam him, plant the TNT, blow it up, and while he's standing up, he's got iframes. So, you know, all's well that ends well, and he's alive, which is great, because we can't kill anybody. Alternatively, the best you could probably do is to trank him and kind of drag him away, but who's got time for that? So this game does have a wait command, and this will send time forward 12 in-game hours from day to night, or vice versa. And this is going to be our primary way of trying to farm out these spy reports, and if we don't get the spy report within 3, then we're going to run out of wait commands, and we've got to enter and exit a mission in order to replenish that. And of course, it's always worth making sure that you have your spies in the correct location. I do, but sometimes this will happen. This is where the big time loss in the RNG comes from. So the way the spies work is that, according to their stats, and according to how many of the spies that there are, that you can get your spy reports fairly quickly, or, you know, this could happen. Again, it is primarily RNG, and it will lose you a lot of time if it decides to do something like this to you. So every entry and exit through a mission after 3 wait commands will cost you probably about, I don't know, 20 seconds or so. So we really want to minimize as much as possible. But in this case, there's not really anything I could do except continue to try. But at any rate, we finally have our spy report. We can get into the research lab, and we can blow up... So the target here is actually one of the incubation tanks for Null. Now, Null is hyped up as the perfect soldier, but as part of that, he has to be reset after every mission he undertakes. And these incubation tanks are the way that happens. So I'm sure blowing this up has no repercussions. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. At the very least, it'll get one of those trucks out of our way, because this is our very last one. Now, the first 2 pulled 2 soldiers away, and this one will finally take the truck out of our way. So, the strat for that mission was literally just roll up twice up the ramps, and then walk up the rest of the way, which will turn the scientist around, and then bump roll into the soldier inside, and very quickly enter the room and go. But hey, we've made it back to the rail bridge. We're gonna finally be able to cross it this time. And Snake's gonna display his lovely, lovely ESP. You know, Metal Gear kind of fairly often has this pseudoscience sort of thing going for it, so, you know, Snake having ESP makes total sense. So we're gonna equip the Mark 22. Gonna quickly pop around the corner and shoot that guy's shield, because we knew he was there.
Here.
And as long as we stay to the left side of this bridge, he's not even gonna notice. We're scot-free. He's too concerned that he just got shot in the shield. Then we bump roll the last soldier, get in the mission square, and we're good to go. So now that we're past the rail bridge, we can now make it to the harbor, which we were told there's something here we need to see, so we might as well go see it, huh? So it's important to note that the day-night cycle is actually kind of important in some cases in this game. At nighttime, guard vision is decreased ever so slightly, so it does help. So we're going to make use of that a couple of times through the run, especially here in the harbor. So we're just going to make sure not to bump into anything to the way to this ladder, start climbing up, and we get noticed, but we don't get seen, which is great. And here we're just going to take aim at this soldier, wait for a couple of moments, and then take him down. That way the guard behind him doesn't see him and start making a stink about it. And then to make sure we're not heard, we can just stalk our way up to this ramp, and then, you know, we're pretty much scot-free for the rest of the mission. Now, the harbor is probably one of the highest concentrations of guards in the game that we're going to come across.
HQ.
And it also comes to be the mission in which we need to grab the most equipment. First, we went up to that roof for the M63 machine gun, and then we're going to grab this very important cardboard box. Now, earlier I mentioned that we're playing, or it's basically on an MGS3 light engine. And if you've ever seen an MGS3 speedrun, you kind of know that the cardboard box has this tendency to remove the movement speed penalty on going up like slopes or ramps or what have you. And the exact same thing is possible here in MPO, and we're going to make use of it. So we're just about done with this mission. We just have to cross the hold of this ship here. You know, go investigate this crate on the other side. And that is the harbor done. But not before we're called by this gentleman who introduces himself to us as Provigiony, or Ghost. And he's going to talk at us for a long while about, you know, Metal Gears and all that sort of thing. Really, he's a fun conversationalist, honestly. But that's the harbor done. And now we need to send our spies off to the security base so that we can learn of a location of another secret map that we're going to need. And of course, like I said, this is random. Now we've got a report, but I'm going to wait one more time so that it's nighttime. Because, again, this is kind of important. Security base, the strategy we're going to be using is a lot more consistent at nighttime due to the fact that the guards are kind of slightly more blind. Now, last mission, we did pick up the cardboard box, and as it turns out, that item is incredibly important for this mission here in order to make it go really fast. So we're going to make our way towards that easternmost building, roll across the gap, bump into this guy, equip the box, open the door, aim towards this next guy, bump into him, equip the box again. There's both of those guys confused. We're going to run up this ramp because we have to adjust cycles. Then we're going to box up about halfway to this next door, enter that door, and there's two more guards who have no idea what just happened, but a box literally just robbed them blind. So now, with that document in hand, we now know the location of a warhead storage building. So our next order of business is to make sure that this facility goes out of order so that, you know, they can't supply their nukes to the Metal Gear. Now, this facility is rather big and kind of maze-like. So we're going to have to be very careful at where we're going. But in a speedrun, it's fairly straightforward. We're just going to stay on the right side of this ramp and equip our TNT on our quick bar. Now, we're staying on the right side of the ramp so that we set up cycles yet again, because there's a guard in this room who can notice us if we're a little too quickly through the ramp there. Now we're going to immediately take the left, and all of these things are laser gates, and if we roll under this one, there's a prize at the end of the hallway that we're going to really, really want. It's the Mosin Nagant. Very, very important to the run. It's going to be primarily a boss-killing tool. Well, a boss-defeating tool, I should say. So climb up that ramp. Cycles are just right. We didn't even get noticed. That's great. And then we're going to take this right into this next room, and we're going to roll through the door so that our positioning is a little better. Because there's a guy directly to the left of that door who, as soon as we get out of this cutscene, would see us. And that's clearly not a good thing. So as long as we roll, we're going to be okay. And we can just roll over this railing and get down to the lower level, because this door will take us exactly where we need to go. Now, like I said, boxing up ramps is slightly faster than rolling, but it also takes a few moments to set up. so it's best just to roll through this one. We'll see the box. Just you wait. We will see the box in all its glory. But we made it to the mission square. Now we get a call, skip through the call, set down a TNT, and we're in our first boss fight. Now, the mid-game of this game is very, very chock full of boss fights, so this is where a lot of the difficulty in PO comes from. But our first boss fight is against Python. And we're going to make use of that tool we just picked up in this mission. So, at the start of the fight, Python's going to rush us and try to hit us with his rifle. Just avoid that really quickly.
That's a nice
Take a nice little shot in his dome. Try to avoid any further damage, but things happen. Anyway, Python will normally take 2 headshots and 2 body shots. I just generally tend to aim for the head because it's easier for me. There we go. Avoid his next strike and take him out. And there's Python. So, it's worth noting that non-lethally defeating Python will actually recruit him to our side. Which is fantastic, because we're going to need him in a short little while. And our spies just gave us a report. They are already in the prime position to give us this report. So, from the security base, they've alerted us to the fact that there's an airport that we can go visit, and we're going to go visit it, because there's a very important senator or something in this airport being guarded by the Fox unit, who knows a little something something that we want to know too. So we're gonna make him clue us in on it. So first order of business, of course, run into the terminal here, and this guy gonna deal with him the same way we deal with others. Nice little bump roll. Then, of course, we're going to box up the ramp. Like I said, the box removes the movement speed penalty, so we're basically heading up at full steam ahead. Then we'll go through this room here. If you look to your right, you got a nice little view of the tarmac, but we don't have time for sightseeing, because we got to make our way up to the control tower. Box up this ramp. That guy's going to be confused. We're going to bump into him, roll through. And then we're going to very quickly make our way behind the pillar, stalk behind this guy, grab him, and interrogate him. Now, if you could understand what he said in the same way that Snake did, then you're a step ahead of me, because I have no idea how he did that. But anyway, the fella from the airport tells us that the exact location of the silo where Metal Gear is being held. So, of course, we're going to go investigate. So, the silo entrance is going to cement the fact that, like Snake's Revenge anticipated so long ago, Metal Gear is supposed to be a platforming series, right? So we're going to run up this ramp. We're setting up cycles. That's why we're not using the box. We're going to hug the wall, bump and roll into that guy who's thinking he's hiding. Clear over the railings. And then we're just going to hop this wall. And then another bump roll here. Takes him out of our way. And then we're going to climb this ladder here, which was going to give us another very, very, very important item that we're going to make use of immediately. Gonna hop this railing and stick underneath the bridge to avoid the guy up there, and then make our way to the mission square. And this is where we're waylaid by Null, the perfect soldier himself. Except the perfect soldier, he's kind of allergic to rockets, as it turns out. So we're gonna directly impact him with the first one, and then we're going to aim towards his legs for following rockets. Now, if we do this right, Null is only going to take 7 shots to down, and we can loop him in this stun lock through all 7. And we really want to blast him back, but if he comes forward, we can kind of reposition ourselves a little bit, just to make sure that we're out of the blast radius, which in this game is huge, by the way. The self harm radius of the RPG is a lot bigger than you might think it might be. So anyway, after that fight, Snake gets captured no matter how well you do in it. So it's up to Johnny to go find him. And what better place to start looking than the last place we knew he was? So we're headed back to the silo entrance. And yet again, we're going to have to engage in some platforming here. So Jonathan doesn't have his box up on him, so we're going to have to roll up this railing because we don't really have to set cycles or anything, but we do have to make it up here rather quickly. So we're going to bump into this guy, and this is our new technique. This is the 180 bump grab. You saw it a little bit earlier in the hospital, but it's literally as simple as bumping into them, running a little bit, turning around and grabbing them, and then we're going to hop down to this that pipe. And this is where our next interrogation target is. If I could. There we go.
Answer me.
So, it's worth noting that I am playing on the PAL version of this game, which was released after the NTSC-U and NTSC-J versions. And as such, it has a few quality of life features built in. And the first one, which we actually just saw, is the ability to grab onto
you've done quite a number
ledges immediately without any input from us, the player. So that's fantastic. Now, we know that Snake is in a place called the guest house, but we don't know quite how to get there, so we have to go to the rail bridge again, because there's a secret document here that'll tell us where on the map that is. And normally the game expects us to have a spy report here, but we can literally just run straight into the mission, and the item is here that we need. And in fact, it makes it slightly easier, because there's a guard outside, if you get the spy report, who will notice you through your outfit. Where, if you don't get the spy report, he's not out there, which is great. And that strat was actually found by Mini Omega King, who was one of 2 or 3 people who originally routed this game. It was Mini Omega King, Marlon Haight, and Royal Suit Alice. So after grabbing that item, we can now go to the guest house and rescue Snake. And casually, this is a bit of a maze of a mission. You don't really know where to go, but in the speedrun, we've got a fair clue. We kind of know a few things. So we're going to go ahead and head straight for Snake. We don't have to grab anything in this mission. In fact, most of our equipment at this point is all set, and we just have to complete the missions. So as Johnny, thankfully, we are disguised against the people in this map. Don't have to worry too much about anything. We can just make a beeline straight for Snake's holding cell, which is down here in the basement. And just like that. So, now that we have Snake back, we now know where Metal Gear was deployed to, and we have to go fix that. We can't have a Metal Gear just roaming around. So we're gonna head off to the plant. And the plant has a bit of a tricky start to it, but if you can get past the start, you're pretty much home free on this mission, aside from the boss fight. It's a very short mission without the boss fight as well, which helps. So we're going to make our way to the corner of this building here. We're going to take aim, take that guy out, and then immediately aim up and take a shot at the rafters to distract the 2 guards up on the catwalk there.
This is HQ.
Then it's pretty much as simple as running underneath them and rounding the corner and running to the mission square.
Sending reinforcements.
And it's worth noting that that's a very, very precise time frame that we are aiming for. If you are a little bit too late, you will get spotted by doing that. But if you are a little bit later than that, you're fine as well. It's all cycle based, of course. So here's Metal Gear Rasha, and the strat for this is, for the first phase, we're literally just going to aim for exploding all 4 of her legs in one go. And once all 4 of her legs have been damaged, we're going to be into phase 2. Which at this point, we have actually made it to that point, so we're doing alright. But we're going to come over here, grab that extra ammo, and set ourselves up for phase 2. Now, phase 2, you can actually two-shot both of her weak spots if you are aiming properly. Basically, you're looking to aim right in the middle of her missile ports on the wings.
Why, you?
You can see the 2 black diamonds aiming between those 2. In this case, I was a little tiny bit off,
Better than I thought.
but it's all good. It's just going to require one more open bay phase. Of course, she's being very rude and shuffling at me. But that's it. That is Metal Gear Russia. So now that Rasha is done, we're going to get a notification here on our briefing screen that says Jonathan has died. And indeed he did, in a cutscene. It was a glorious death. He was full of honor, that man. But that means we were down 1 spy, so we gotta put Python in our spy unit to continue on. So first off, we gotta plant them in the silo entrance to tell us that there is a door we missed the first time we visited. And then, in order to find out where we could possibly disable that door, we have to send them to the ravine. And of course, as stated earlier, this is completely random. They can decide to give you the report very quickly or very slowly, usually not in between. So this run, my spies gave me incredibly rotten luck. Very below average. But that's totally fine, because the ravine is the last time we're actually going to need them to be spies. So at this point, we can actually move them from our spy unit into our technical unit, because that's the next place we're going to actually need them to be. So we're going to send them there, which will stop incoming spy reports, which loses us time on the briefing screen. And they're also going to be set up for later when we're going to need them there. And after that, just head into the ravine, where once again we prove that Metal Gear is definitely a platforming series. So first off, you see that little edge down there? We want to be down there. So just hop the railing, get down. Say a mending prayer for Snake's knees, and then we're gonna take a jump off that ramp. And yeah, that is precisely as scary as it looks. But it's fine. PAL version, instant grab ledges, it's all fine. It's totally fine. Don't even worry. I wasn't scared, you're scared. But in any case, we're now finished with the ravine. We don't have to look at it anymore. And instead, we're going to be going over to the power substation so that we can take care of that door in the silo entrance. So the power substation, we're going to be here for a couple of missions consecutively. Our first visit's kind of going to be more or less straightforward. We're going to roll up this ramp twice in order to set up a cycle. And then we're pretty much going to aim directly at that ladder ahead of us there. Now, rolling twice up that ramp makes that guy to our left who has just noticed us, he'll be looking at a wall by the time we land. So that gives us time to climb up the ladder a ways before he actually does notice us. Alternatively, if you're fast enough, you can use the cardboard box and get up the ramp and the ladder, but it requires pretty much perfect movement, so it's not entirely safe for a Tsuchinoko run. In any case, once we climb up that ladder, we just roll across to the building, make our way inside, and here's the power breaker that is associated with that door. But if we blow it up now, it's not going to do us much good. That door is on a 5-minute backup generator. As in, the backup generator for that door will kick in 5 minutes after we explode the primary. So instead we gotta get a time bomb, and that's where our soldiers in the technical unit are gonna come in. Because they gotta build us one. And usually this one does require a quit out. So that's why it's not very surprising that it happened here. Anyway, work has begun on a detonation timer, which means work has actually finished. So we're gonna go ahead and put that in our inventory now. And we're gonna head straight back in. So this is gonna look a lot like the first trip, except a couple of the guard positions have been moved around a little. So this time we're going to be absolutely able to just cardboard box up the ramp with no problems. We don't have to worry about cycles too much. And once again, we're going to make our way to the the ladder. But this time we're going to land a few steps away so that we don't alert a guy who's walking past it. Then at the top, as you can see, there's now a guard patrolling that roof, and we gotta figure out a way past her. So we're going to distract her by letting her spot us. Then it's a simple matter of another bump roll. Because of course. And from here, it's a really simple matter just to make our way down to that room with the power breaker, set the time bomb, and get on out of here. But, of course, it's not going to be that simple. Because our good friend Null has returned, and he clearly hasn't had enough of our rockets, so we gotta spend a few more on him. So once again, the strat pretty much exactly the same. The first shot should be a direct hit. Then our aim is to knock him back. And again, like before, 7 will do it. And missing 1 is fine. We're actually not going to need the RPG past this point, so our ammo is totally fine. But as a backup, you can kind of just run back here in case something went wrong. And this is a fairly safe area, and it also has some medical kits that you can grab. But that's Null. No longer going to be messing with us, because he remembers now.
I remember.
So now we've got all the pieces in place. Now it's just a matter of making our way into the silo, through the door in the entrance. And I sure hope you haven't had enough of platforming, because we're about to see some more here. And this one is the worst of all of them. This is the most dangerous one. So once again, this is going to be a lot like the first time around in that we have to have a cycle set up. So we're going to run up this ramp. Then we're going to, once again, hug the wall, bump into the guy, roll through him, try and make our way over the railing, but, you know, sometimes things happen. This time, we have to make a roll onto this set of boxes here. And if we don't make it in one, we have to take out that guard. Otherwise, he'll see us and start causing issues and also invalidate Tsuchinoko, so we don't want that. So we're going to box up underneath here, and if we are on first cycle, then that guy would have been looking directly at us, and we'd have to go around the box, but, you know, in this case, we can just bump roll through him, and we're out of there. And this starts us off in the most technical mission in the game. We have to manage several things within this one mission. It's basically a big conglomeration of all the things we've had to use during the run up to this point. So as soon as we're allowed to start moving, we box up the ramp. And then there's, of course, another ramp over here. Box up that. And then we're going to take the specific path because there's cameras around that we don't want to get seen by. Then we're going to stalk behind this guy, wait for him to stop, and then grab him. Now, this is another good reason why we're playing the PAL version, because in this version, we can actually drag guards to these doors, and they'll open. Otherwise, we have to go grab a card key, and that's a platforming thing, and it's just, we don't have time for it. Anyway, box past that little alcove, which has a guard and the code for this upcoming door in it. We're going to call Ghost, because his frequency is actually a whole lot closer to the frequency we need. Usually he doesn't pick up, but this time he did. Oh well. Now this door is open. We can box up this next ramp.
The enemy is close by.
We're going to want to remove that at the top. Run through the doors.
HQ.
And at this corner, box up again. Bump this guy, 180 grab.
The enemy is attacking from an unknown
We
position.
can drag him towards the door.
Sending reinforcements.
Now this door is open. We're free to move on. Drop him off. A whole lot of people are getting real confused at us at this point. But it doesn't matter. We're going to climb up here. And in here is going to be very important. Chaff grenades. Because again, like I said, there's cameras in this place, and you see them right there. They're right in our way, so we gotta take them out somehow, and the chaff is the best way.
What's that?
Then we're gonna shoot the wall, run behind this guy who's running away from that shot, grab him, drag him to this door, so we can open this, and drop him off. And then, from here, the mission is basically scot-free as long as we're sort of careful. Got to make our way across here, and while this chaff grenade is still running, we grab this key because there's a camera guarding it. Then very carefully hop the railing. If you miss that roll, it's pretty bad. Then I'm actually going to go ahead and grab some extra medical kits since we haven't grabbed any to this point. So make sure we're all stocked up on those, and then we just run into this doorway, roll down here, and we are out of this mission. Which leaves 2 remaining. And both of the upcoming missions are actually boss fights. So we're going to have to set up for those a little bit. Now I'm actually going to remove the technical unit into the medical unit, because waiting with people in the med unit will actually resupply you with health and stamina according to their ranks in medical skill. So here we're going to need the M63, the Mark 22, and some 9mm trank ammo. And instead of the cardboard box, we're going to take the medkits along, because the cardboard boxes have been our faithful ally to this point, but it's no longer necessary, unfortunately. And then we head into our little boss rush here. So the first boss is going to be Cunningham, and he's going to be riding a flying platform. I like to call it a Dalek, but you know, it's not really. So the main way we're going to deal with this guy is we're going to shoot him with the M63 until his platform explodes a little bit, bringing him low enough for us to actually take shots at him. Then we're going to swap to our Mark 22, and well, you'll see.
Well then, let's get down to business.
So again, equip the M63 and start plugging away at his platform there. Now once he's down, we're going to position ourselves behind this this railing, and this is actually going to allow us to cancel the animation of rechambering on the Mark 22, which is going to save us a lot of time. And then from here, it's rinse and repeat. Of course, sometimes with the M63, it doesn't quite behave the same way. But this animation cancel was found by Marlon Hay, again, who was one of the original routers of the game. So big shoutouts to him, because this mission took a while on Tsuchinoko before this was found. But as you can see, this is going actually really quickly. So again, we're just trying to make sure we are positioned as closely as possible as we can be to this railing. And you can actually fire a fair bit quicker than I am. I'm just trying to make sure that I don't miss any shots. But one more cycle should do it. And there's Cunningham. So all that remains is the final boss, Gene. Like I said, we don't really care about Gene until it's time to go fight him. But we're gonna have to set up again. Instead of that M63, we're gonna need our Mosin Nagant. And that's how we're gonna be dealing primarily with Jean. So Jean is an RNG fest, and he can quite easily kill you. So we're gonna try and avoid all of that. So when we're gonna spawn in here, and we're gonna immediately equip our Mark 22, and we're gonna make our way towards him because if we're close enough,
What's it going to be?
we can actually make him dodge into us, sort of, and cancel our reload animation again. Similarly found by Marlon Haight. And then once he charges us, we can take a headshot with the Mosin Nagant. Now, Jean is very selectively vulnerable. So when his back's turned to us, or after he's attacked us, that is when we can attack him back and actually have something happen. Otherwise, he'll just dodge all of it. So after his string of knives trick, we can actually first-person aim and take a headshot, which does more damage than a body shot, of course. So again, he's going to charge us. We're going to avoid, turn around, Mosin Nagant, and take a headshot. And you can see just how much damage the Mosin Nagant does, which is why exactly we want to take that. And here's this phase again. So again, we're going to try and get really close to him
Aiming your rifles at your neighbor.
so that we can just take that out really quickly. And sometimes you can get really lucky and get a hit on him. Oh, that's fine. It's fine. This is why we bring as much healing as possible. Then another headshot. And at this point, Jean's really close. It's just more of the same. Try to avoid damage. Take a headshot, and this is Jean done. And in a marathon setting, that would be time. That was when I would call time, because this game is primarily timed through in-game time, which we only get after the credits. But you know, I don't think anyone really wants to sit through about 8 minutes of credits. So yeah, that's about it. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it, and I hope you all start to get to want to learn this game a little bit more, honestly, because this game is a fantastic speed run. But with that, I'm done. Thank you guys for watching again, and I'll see you around.
Well, I'll be damned. So it was you who was feeding me information. Yes, the DCI's death should pass as suicide. They'll claim he did it because he felt responsible for the theft of Metal Gear. We can look forward to a major shakeup on the 7th floor at Langley shortly. It looks as if everything is going exactly the way you wanted it. When the DCI saw the trajectory data you supplied and found out he was the target of the nuclear strike, he brought the Philosopher's documents right to me. Yes, we should have known Gene was serious about launching those nukes. Seems our insurance policy came in handy after all. He did quite well. And now, I've got the legacy. Is that all part of your script, too? Using him in the Fox unit like that. Only you could have pulled it off. But you won't be using me anymore. Battle data. From the Perfect Soldier. Gene's genome? I see. Intriguing. I'll help you with the project. But on one condition. I want him to join us. Yes, Big Boss. So that we can become the Patriots.